Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So today I'm just going to give you guys kind of an update on what's going on with the shop truck, the 56 F100, and what I've been up to since I haven't really done any filming on the truck. I've got a lot of stuff I've done and accomplished on it that I needed to get done to get the big block 460 fired up and broke in on this thing. So I did get the wiring harness pretty much completed. There's a few things I gotta finish up. I gotta wire up the electric fans and run the relays for those. I also gotta do the distributor, and then I gotta run the hot lead that powers the fuse block and hook that in, and then make up a battery tray. I'm gonna mount it down here on the engine, in the engine bay, because on these trucks they're always underneath the passenger side floor. So I'm gonna mount it right down in here. I'm gonna cut out an area and then make up a battery tray to bolt to the frame. And then when I cut this, I gotta add actually a piece in right here to cover up the Crown Vic swap, pretty much like I did on the driver's side over there. So that way it's hidden and you don't see them, and it kind of cleans it up and gives it a nice look on the inside of the engine bay. And then also I did make up the brake lines for the Hydro Boost. This thing does look funky because it sticks out there so far. It's just an awkward thing to see in one of these trucks. But the brake lines are made up. All right, so I welded on some tabs right here. These are some mounting brackets for the brake lines. I already had these retainer clips, so I didn't have to buy any of those, but I had to buy the brake line fitting, these lines that go up to the caliper. I already had these ones that go through the banjo bolt and stuff like that. So I had a few things just from other previous projects that I worked on that we didn't end up using. So yeah, I've been saving some money on stuff like that I've had laying around the shop. I just got to finish making up a brake line for the back, but I don't have a back. I don't have a rear end yet for this thing. It's just sitting on the original one that came with the truck when I bought it. And then for lines to be made is just all my power steering lines and the rack lines and all that stuff that goes up to the Hydro Boost. That way I don't have to run any vacuum, like a vacuum boost or anything like that. So for out here, it's getting pretty close to being wrapped up with certain lines and stuff. And when I break the big block in, I might just pull the belt off for the power steering, because it's got two belts. It's got the power steering and then the water pump, and then this one on the other is the alternator, water pump, and crank. So for the gauge cluster, I'll show you guys. We actually pulled it out of the rusted truck that's out back. So I have another cab that's was on the yellow truck's frame. So I took the gauge cluster out of that, freed up the speedo because it was frozen. It just hadn't been used in a long time. It sat out there for 40 something years probably. So cleaned it up, rewired it. I'll show you guys that. Yeah, I cleaned up the gauge cluster. It came out pretty good. You guys can see like where it's pitted and stuff like that on the back. And also the glass is actually pitted right in here and stuff like that, but I'm not concerned. It's not a show truck, it's just a fun shop truck to drive around. But yeah, everything's wired up for this thing. It's all got plugs. So if I have to take this thing apart too, it can just be unplugged right there. So I just try to make everything easy, nothing where you can't unplug it. And then for the oil light and the alternator light, or the battery light on this, I want to see if I can find a set of gauges that are small enough to put in behind these, because the two inch diameter ones are pretty close to being able to fit. So I want to be able to put a regular oil pressure gauge and then a regular alternator gauge in here. That way I know the battery's charging and we have plenty of oil pressure for the motor on this thing. I did get a new ignition switch because the other one I couldn't find a key and I couldn't get the tumbler out, and the price was just cheaper to get a new one, so I got a new one. That's wired up, and it came with a set of door locks and stuff like that. So yeah, the inside of the truck's coming along really nice. There's a few things left to wire up, mainly just the column. I did get the dimmer switch already done. There's the original dimmer switch right there. And then here are the wires for the radio, and then I think another power wire, probably for like the cigarette lighter. And then one of these is for, I think, the clutch, or for the air compressor for the AC unit. This one is for the wiper motor. This one is for the electric fan, I think, for when you turn your AC on. And then I think this, I can't remember what they're all off the top of my head. To show you guys where the fuse block is actually behind all this, this panel right here. It's just Clecoed into the original screw holes. So I just added another piece of sheet metal and welded to it. That way there is some more structure for the fuse block, but it sits right behind there in that pocket. So if you guys look right here, that's where the fuse block is gonna sit, is right in here. And there's enough room to run a set of fan relays and stuff like that. That way they're inside the cab and there's not a lot of stuff outside in the engine bay. My cat's just hanging out with me in here while I'm shooting this. You're a goofball, Fur. Huh? You goofy cat. So yeah, looking forward to firing this thing up, guys. It's coming along, it's getting there. It's been taking a little bit longer than what I wanted to, but I've been working on other stuff here. You know, this thing's last on the list just because it's my personal vehicle. So if you guys did like today's video, I'm just showing you the progress on the shop truck. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. Also notification bell, that way you guys stay notified when I do fire this thing up and break in the big block. So until next time, later.